Amory entered his adolescence as the epitome of an egotist. He knew he was handsome, he knew he was charming, and he felt superior. At the age of 15, he entered St. Regis boarding school and, taking the advice from his mother, visited Monsignor Darcy. Darcy welcomed Amory, stating that he's been waiting for him for years. He was a religious man who appreciated life to its fullest. In their conversation, Amory claimed he wanted to go to Princeton. Anyway, he began to consider his present attitude as the fundamental Amory, a moody, lazy, love-struck fool, which was a part of Beatrice within him. Amory always noticed the social aspect of the atmosphere around him as he tried to find his own placement in the world. Amory decided to go to Princeton, calling it the pleasantest country club in America. There, he met his roommate brothers, Carrie and Bern Holiday. The older brother, Carrie, was social and humorous. The younger, Bern, was more quiet and determined. As school progressed, Amory was disappointed that he wasn't considered one of the elite on the campus. "I want to be admired, Carrie," he said. One day, Amory came beside an introverted freshman who wrote poetry for the literary magazine, Tom D'Invilliers. The two formed a bond bound by their interest in literature. Later in school, Amory joined the Princetonian newspaper and the drama club called the Triangle Club. With the Triangle Club, he traveled all around the country and noticed that the girls were evolving into PDs, popular daughters who were flighty, flirty, and willing to play with many men. He returned to Minneapolis to meet with a girl from his youth, a popular daughter named Isabel. He flirted with her, admiring how she evolved from a young girl into a beautiful woman. Amory secured the den upstairs for the two of them. Alone in the dark, Amory asked her if she thought he was conceited. She thought he was just confident. They vowed that they were mad about each other. As he was about to kiss her, someone walked in. That moment was over, but they kept in touch with love letters. Back in Princeton, Amory became that elite man he longingly yearned to be. He spent time with his other elite friends, such as his idol, Dick Humbird. He saw Humbird as the ideal figure of the upper class for his charm, intelligence, and courageousness. Tom was discontent with the social life he and Amory had gained. He called Amory a bad angel sent to conventionalize him, and that he could have been a good poet otherwise. One day, Amory found Dick Humbird dead on the street. He was killed in a car accident from driving while drunk. He found the death to be horrifying and too earthly for a man like Humbird. Perfect! This shows how idolized men can die in an unexpected accident just like the rest of us. It displays the vulnerability of greatness, which humbles Amory and his dream to be just as great as Humbird. I love character development. Amory took Isabel to prom. Oh, how they were completely infatuated with one another. He later visited her at her summer place in Long Island. Happy to see each other, they ran into each other's arms. Then, Amory's shirt stud scraped her neck. She pulled away, calling him unsympathetic for laughing at her injury. It was there that Amory became aware that he didn't love Isabel. Later that night, he planned to leave because she refused to kiss him. She called him egotistical for always thinking and talking about himself. The romance ended there. Amory blamed her for ruining his year. Back in Princeton, Amory failed a math course and returned to school early to take a makeup exam. He knew that failing would strip him of his position on the Princetonian board. However, he was too lazy to study and failed. With his friend, Alec Connage, Amory discussed how his lackadaisical behavior was the revival of the reckless, fundamental Amory. On top of that, Amory discovered that his father had passed away. Taking care of his father's finances, he learned that his wealth was dwindling away from bad investments. Discouraged, Amory visited Monsignor Darcy and told him that he wanted to drop out of college. Darcy wisely told Amory that he failed math because he was a personage, not a personality. He said that a personage, unlike a personality, could fail without ruining a reputation forever. Unlike a personality, a personage was more than a reputation, and therefore, he could learn from his mistakes and feel successful without recognition. However, this self-assurance didn't last very long. While with friends, Amory saw a man with gray eyes and pointed shoes. He ran away from the man, believing that he was being followed by the devil. On the devil, he swore he saw Dick Humbard's face. How wonderful! Humbard as the devil symbolized how he was distancing from his obsession with his dream to become a socialite. Later that night, he and Tom swore they saw the devil watching them through the window. Senior year, Tom tells Amory that many juniors are resigning from their clubs. Bern Holiday was the leader of this movement. Amory started talking to Bern and was riveted by his sincerity. He became a revolutionary on campus, campaigning to eliminate the Princeton clubs that he believed drew social lines and thus were discriminatory. On long walks, he taught Amory how to project himself into another place and understand people. Seeing Bern's passion set into a purposeful action inspired Amory to act on his own passions and dedicate much of his time to writing poetry. He felt much more alive than he had in years. Ironically, Amory heard that Bern was unsuccessful in his efforts and dramatically left campus on a bicycle. Amory received a letter from Monsignor Darcy asking him to visit his widowed cousin in Philadelphia, Clara Page. Amory visited her as a favor. She was alone with 2 kids and little money. He said she was remarkable, which she didn't believe. He was interested in her opinion, asking her if she thought he was conceited. She said that it was just vanity and no self-respect. He claimed he loved her. However, Clara rejected the thought of marrying again. She saw that he didn't truly love her and that he was just running through emotions. Perfect. She showed him that not every girl will fall for him instantly. How humbling. More character development. I'm a great writer. Anyway, as World War I progressed, Amory and many other students left for the army. During those years, Amory received letters from Monsignor Darcy, saying that he was now an old man and felt that Amory was the reincarnation of himself. He noted that one of them might not survive the duration of the war. In a letter to Tom, Amory wrote that Carrie and another former peer, Jesse, died in the war. He wondered where their past classmate Bern was as well. You can tell that Amory was getting a little sentimental away from home. The setting shifted to Alec Conage's sister, Rosalind, preparing herself for her debutante party. As a debutante, she would make her debut into society as an eligible bachelorette for men of the higher class. She was spoiled, and she didn't need to make men fall for her. She didn't worry what others thought of her as well. She hated women as a sex because they had qualities she hated in herself: cowardice and meanness. However, she was intelligent and beautiful. As she was getting ready, Amory, back from the war, walked in unexpectedly. They began to flirt. He proclaimed that he wasn't as brilliant as she thought he was, while she said she wasn't as sexless and sporty as he had imagined her previously. The flirting led to a kiss. Amory said he might fall in love with her. However, he considered himself a romantic and not a sentimentalist, because a sentimentalist had emotions and hoped affairs would last, while romantics hoped they wouldn't. She refused to believe that statement. Rosalind's mother came in and explained that she needed to marry a wealthy man like Dawson Ryder for the sake of the family name. She met Dawson that evening, but fell in love with Amory instead. The two spent several months in love and became engaged. Amory even took an advertising job to satisfy her. However, Rosalind's mother complained that she was spending too much time with the poor Amory and not a rich man. She claimed her husband's wealth was diminishing and Rosalind could save their finances through marriage. When Amory returned, Rosalind cried and reluctantly broke their engagement. She said that she needed to marry a man like Dawson, even if she had to learn to love him. Amory begged to have her back, but Rosalind refused. She returned the engagement ring and asked Amory to leave. He quit his job and used alcohol to escape the pain. Luckily, Prohibition put a sudden stop to his constant drinking. Then, Amory received a letter from Monsignor Darcy. Darcy was worried for Amory's financial and mental state after Rosalind and asked that he would write him back. Amory left to visit him in D.C., but stayed in Maryland longer than expected because he met Eleanor. As Amory walked through the woods of Maryland, he got caught in a thunderstorm. Trying to find shelter, he heard a beautiful singing voice. Amory found a girl in the haystack and climbed up beside her. She told him her name was Eleanor, a wild, brilliant, carefree girl. The two formed an instant bond, and spent the summer together. Amory and Eleanor shared the same line of thoughts and would arrive at the same conclusions long after their discussions ended. There was a seamless conversation between two minds that did not require the exchange of spoken words. She symbolized a mirror of himself. However, their one difference was a disagreement about religion. One day, when they were riding horses, she admitted she didn't have any belief or respect for God. Amory challenged her and told her that on her deathbed, she would call for God. To prove him wrong, she steered her horse toward the edge of a cliff. She jumped off at the last second and survived. Her recklessness and instability became apparent, and the summer fling had ended. Although they continued to communicate through beautiful poetry, he would always wonder if his fascination of Eleanor was a love for her, or a love for who he was when he was with her.
I'm not sure how I want to end this. Will Amory never get over his loves? Maybe. Will Rosalind marry Dawson or come back for Amory? Will he ever see Monsignor Darcy again and tell him how he's been? How will this quest novel play out? What will Amory discover about himself? Will he ever become a humble, selfless man? Or will he embrace his egotistical self? I guess I'll revise this tomorrow. Hopefully the publisher doesn't reject it a third time.